Welcome to the first episode of the new Learning Mashroom Server series. I expect a basic knowledge of Mashroom Server and how it works. You might check out the Mashroom Server introduction video first. You should have Node.js 16 or higher installed and always an IDE that supports JavaScript and TypeScript, for example Visual Studio Code or WebStorm. The source code of this lesson and all the following ones is available in the GitHub repo. I will post the link in the comments section. In Lesson 1, we will discuss the general project setup and the server configuration. We will integrate a simple Express.js web app, and we will talk about the plugin context and a little bit about logging. We start with an empty JavaScript project. In package.json, we add Mashroom as a dependency. And a script to start it. Now run npm install. And npm start. And Mashroom Server will be up in a few milliseconds. The admin UI is available at localhost 5050. It doesn't show much at the moment since we don't have any plugins loaded. If you check the log output, you can see which config files Mashroom tries to load. The default one is Mashroom.json and it must be in the root folder. Let's create it. First of all, we add a JSON schema reference, so we have validation and autocomplete. You can change the name and the port and a lot of other things. Most importantly, we can configure here where the plugins are. You should keep the default path node modules /add Mashroom, which automatically loads all Mashroom scoped packages when added as dependencies. Additionally, we add now our local plugin path, which will be packages. For this path, we turn on the development mode, which means Mashroom will automatically reload the plugins if the source code changes and could even rebuild the sources if necessary. Now restart the server and check if the new configuration has been applied. As you can see, it runs now on port 8080 and the server name has changed, as has the plugin package folders. Before we can start with the first plugin, we have to update package.json. Firstly, we switch to a multi-module setup by using the npm workspaces feature. We tell npm that there will be additional modules under the packages folder. Secondly, we will use TS Node instead of Node.js to avoid an extra build step when writing our plugin in TypeScript. Run npm install again. And start the server, and everything should still just work fine. Let's create the packages folder and a folder for our plugin module and add a package.json. The name of the plugin doesn't really matter. And now create a simple Express.js web app. You could of course also use an existing one. Let's say our web app needs a config parameter name and just outputs a heading 1 with hello name. Okay, now integrate it as a plugin. We start with the Bootstrap code. Create a new file, let's call it Bootstrap. We have to default export a function that satisfies the Mashroom Web App plugin Bootstrap function interface. It has 3 parameters and expects an Express app as return value. The second argument is the plugin config, and we expect here a property name, and we pass that to the web app. We will see in a second where it comes from. The second part of the plugin is a metadata definition. The default name of the config file is again Mashroom.json, and it has to be in the plugin folder. Firstly, add again a schema reference. As you can see, the schema expects an array of plugins because a single module can contain multiple plugins. A plugin has a name and also a type. In this case, it has to be web app. And it also has to contain the reference to the file that implements the Bootstrap. A web app plugin additionally requires a path property in the default configuration. The path defines where the web app will be available in the browser. Here we can also add the name property we need in the web app. Why is it the default configuration? Because the users of this plugin can later override everything here in the server configuration. In the server configuration, you can add the plugin under plugins. And just override the configuration. Let's say we want to greet everyone and not the world. Now restart the server and check if the plugin is working. And yes, it is available. And it also works. From now on, you don't have to restart the server if you change the plugin. So if you change the HTML output, you will just see the result after browser reload. We should also talk about the other arguments of the bootstrap function. The first one is the plugin name, the second one we know already, and the third one is the plugin context holder. It can be used to obtain the plugin context, which allows it to access shared services, server information, and a logger factory. The logger factory can be used to obtain a logger instance. The plugin context is not only available in Bootstrap functions, but can also be obtained from the request object in routes. Mashroom has its own logger abstraction and uses at the moment log4j.s as backend. It can be configured via a log4j.s JSON file in the root folder. The file contains console and file appenders and specific rules for different log categories. It looks a bit similar to the log4j configuration you might know from the Java world. And that's it for this lesson.